A warm welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Luima, but first are the headlines. ECOP says 203 physically displaced by pipeline. FDC unveils Eratu Emmanuel as its flag bearer in the Serele by-election. Tunisians vote in the second round of parliamentary elections. Total Energies CHAN 2022 semi-final lineup complete. Welcome once again. Now the news in detail. Opposition Forum for Democratic Change (FDC) has announced Mr. Eratu Emmanuel as its flag bearer for the Serele County parliamentary by-election seat scheduled for 23rd February 2023. The seat fell vacant after the death of former Member of Parliament Patrick Okabe in an accident last month. Nalugo reports.
Addressing journalists at their party headquarters in Najanankumbi, FDC party president Patrick Oboy Amriat welcomed Mr. Eratu to the FDC party and asked the people of Serere to entrust FDC with their votes.
Our candidate is rated excellent and highly commendable. I need to mention at this point that we conduct two functions in one today. One is of welcoming Emmanuel Eratu to the FDC. Previously, he's been independent, leaning towards the FDC. And therefore, today's function is for us to present to him a card of the FDC. Secondly, we are also going to unveil him as our candidate of choice for the Serere County by-election.
The Serere County MP seat fell vacant after the death of Patrick Okabe in an accident last month. More than 5 people have shown interest in the race, including his son Emmanuel Omoding and seasoned politician Alice Alaso, FDC's Eratu Emmanuel, among others. Amuriat said their confidence is in the people of Serere, which among others is FDC's stronghold.
However, our confidence is in the people of Serere, who have always supported us in our journey of liberation. You all know that TESO is a bedrock of the FDC.
On the other hand, following the release of the primary leaving examinations last week, FDC has urged the government to develop a strategic master plan for a total of over 1,000 pupils who did not pass these exams.
FDC proposes that the government develops a strategic master plan for those 1,168,000 pupils who have failed to transit to the next education level. And this should be the case every year.
Amuriat called upon the government to ensure improving teachers' welfare, such as increasing their salaries and constructing staff quarters around schools, as this will help in improving the education sector.
The East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company Limited has said that only 203 persons will be physically displaced by the oil pipeline, adding that the biggest percentage of them has already been compensated. We have more on this story. According to Stella Amoni, the ECOP communication officer, the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company Limited physically displaces only 2,003 project-affected persons and that the process of compensating these people is ongoing. Amoni was responding to claims by activists on social media who claimed that the pipeline had displaced over 7,000 people in Chizira-Fumbi sub-county in Chikube district. In response, the pipeline company cleared the air, saying that whereas the social media posts had inflated the total number of people affected by the project, even those affected are soon all being compensated. The ECOP Managing Director Martin Tiffen recently told journalists that compensation of those affected by the pipeline is still ongoing, with 3/4 of the project affected persons so far paid off. He said the process was in some parts delayed by the recent Ebola lockdown, especially in Mobende district, which is one of the areas where the pipeline is to pass. Tunisia's president and its shaky decade-long experiment with democracy are facing an important test on Sunday as voters cast ballots in the second round of parliamentary elections. We have more.
The runoff elections on Sunday were being watched around the Arab world. They were seen as a conclusive step in President Kais Saied's push to consolidate power, tame Islamist rivals, and win back lenders and investors needed to save the teetering economy. Voters are choosing lawmakers to replace the last parliament, led by Islamist party Ennahda, which Saidi suspended in 2021 and later disbanded. He then had the constitution rewritten to give more power to the president and less to the legislature. Analysts note a growing crisis of confidence between citizens and the political class since Tunisia's 2011 revolution unleashed Arab Spring uprisings across the region and led Tunisians to create a new democratic political system once seen as a model. Polls opened at 8 a.m. Sunday, except in restive regions near the Algerian and Libyan borders, where authorities are limiting voting hours for security reasons. In the first round elections, 23 candidates secured seats outright in the 161-seat parliament, either because they ran unopposed or because they won more than 50% of the vote.
Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. Several thousand people demonstrated in Ouagadougou for the sovereignty of Burkina Faso in support of the junta in power a few days after the confirmation of the departure of French forces from the country by the end of January. After the ruling junta in Mali forced French troops out last year, the army officers running neighboring Burkina Faso followed suit this week, asking Paris to empty its garrison in the next month. According to Pan-Africanist Fatime Nahul Ngawara, they have decided to take their destiny in hand, and it is not the international community or anyone else who will stop them. Under President Emmanuel Macron, France was already drawing down its troops across the Sahel region, who just a few years ago numbered more than 5,000, backed up with fighter jets, helicopters, and infantry fighting vehicles. Around 3,000 remaining, but the forced departures from Mali and Burkina Faso, as well as the Central African Republic to the south last year, underline how anti-French winds are gathering force. Gilles Yabi, founder of the Senegal-based Wathi think tank, told the media that there was a desire from some sections of society to enter a new phase to grasp a new independence. Angolan President João Lourenço on Friday inaugurated the country's first satellite control center. Its main task is to monitor the activity of the satellite ANGOSAT-2. The Southern African country had in October launched the main satellite with the help of Russia.
The inauguration of Angola's first satellite control center took place at Funda area within Luanda, the capital city of Angola, and fully equipped with technical and technological means. President João said that with the launch of this satellite and its commissioning, Angola will win in all services, so they will improve their telecommunications and social communication and will also benefit from this important project. According to what was revealed, the satellite mission and control center is an intelligent infrastructure with multiple engineering advantages capable of guaranteeing the tracking, monitoring, and operation of satellites, in this case the ANGOSAT-2. In December 2017, Angola launched its trial satellite ANGOSAT-1 alongside the Russian rocket, but Moscow announced it had lost control of it as soon as it entered orbit.
Moving on, the view of a cyber cafe is commonplace in the Congo. Gloria Nace, a 21-year-old from Bakongo in Brazzaville, manages a small business. On a daily basis, he has to deal with issues ranging from blackouts to poor access to internet. We have more on this story. In order to positively impact at least 2 million Congolese, the Digital Transformation Acceleration Project was launched on Tuesday. Local authorities took out a multi-million-dollar loan to fund it. The World Bank contributed $100 million for a 5-year period. According to the project managers, the Congo will benefit in the near future from a grant of 15 million euros from the European Union. Franz Dreis Gross, the Director of Infrastructure in the World Bank's Africa West region, said that the World Bank is pleased to contribute to the financing of this strategic pillar as part of its Digital Economy Initiative for Africa, which aims to support countries in their digitalization efforts. The project aims to wrap up the government's ability to providing more efficient digital public services and to increase access to internet for undeserved populations. Let's once again take a quick break. We will be right back. In our business news today, Italian energy giant Eni signed an $8 billion gas deal with Libya's state-run National Oil Corporation on Saturday as Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni visited Tripoli.
European governments have been scrambling to find alternatives to Russian gas since last year's invasion of Ukraine, so deliveries slashed to less than half their pre-war levels, sending prices soaring to record highs and triggering costly state subsidies to protect consumers. Eni said it was the first major project in Libya since early 2000 and involved the development of 2 offshore gas fields. Eni said in a statement that the combined gas production from the 2 structures will start in 2026 and reach a plateau of 750 million of standard gas cubic feet per day. It added that production will be ensured through 2 main platforms tied into the existing treatment facilities at the Melita complex, 80 kilometers west of the capital. The agreement was signed in the presence of Meloni and her host Abdelhamid Deiba, who heads the UN-brokered government of the National Unity, which is contested by a rival administration in the east. Her visit is the first by a European leader to war-battered Libya since her predecessor Mario Draghi's visit in April 2021.
In our health news today, leprosy, also known as Hansen's disease, has been haunting humanity for at least 4,000 years, often affecting the poorest communities. It is considered a neglected tropical disease by the World Health Organization and remains under-researched and little discussed compared to many other illnesses. We have more on this report. In 2021, more than 140,500 new cases were detected worldwide, nearly three-quarters of them in Brazil, India, and Indonesia, according to the World Health Organization. However, pandemic-related disruptions have led to nearly 40% fewer cases being detected a year, with fears that tens of thousands have gone undiagnosed. Even before the pandemic, the official numbers likely did not reflect reality. According to Bertrand Kauchux, a leprosy specialist at the Raoul Folero Foundation in France, they know the number of patients who have been tested, but they don't count the forgotten and undetected patients. This is in part because the disease's incubation period can last up to 20 years. Testing and diagnosis also takes time, during which patients could potentially infect their family members. For example, Dan Izate, a Zimbabwean former civil engineering technician and pastor, was diagnosed at the age of 25 in 1972, but first contracted the disease when he was just 5. That long incubation period gave the bacteria that causes leprosy lots of time to spread through his body. His right leg was amputated in 1980 in Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. And in sports, after more than 2 weeks of scintillating football at the Total Energies African Nations Championship 2022 in Algeria, we are now down to 4 teams battling for the Golden Crown. We have more.
A journey that has been filled with surprises, twists and turns has now presented the aspirants for the coveted trophy in the tournament, organized for players that ply their trade in their domestic leagues on the continent. Hosts Algeria booked their ticket to the semi-finals after a 1-0 victory over Cote d'Ivoire thanks to a 96th-minute penalty by Aymen Mahias, who was perfect from 12 yards in a match that saw 2 red cards for both teams. Algeria will face Niger in the first semi-final at the Miloud Haddafi Stadium in Oran on Tuesday, 31st January at 16:00 GMT before Senegal face Madagascar at the Nelson Mandela Stadium in Baraki, Algiers on the same day at 1900 GMT. Meanwhile, in the other semi-final, Senegal will battle the debatants Madagascar for a place in the final to be played on February 4th at the Nelson Mandela Stadium. The Chan returnees for the first time since 2011 have been impressive under the Pep Thor, who came into the tournament with just 9 players from the squad that competed in the qualifiers.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned.